What's good, Primos? Welcome to another episode of Kick La Familia with your favorite Primo, Coach Fernz. And today, I got the illustrious fashionista herself, Jenn. How you feeling?
I am feeling really, really good. I'm just so glad to be here. So I'm feeling amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Nah, thank you for being here, man. Tell a familiar where you from and how you feel about sneaker culture where you from right now.
So I am originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And sneaker culture was always a vibe. You could not go to a cookout first day of school, any day of school, without a fresh pair of kicks. And I will tell you, we had some amazing sneaker stores in the city. Some of them very much independently owned. And then you had some that were your chains, like Foot Locker and Athlete's Foot, those. But then you also just had those singular kind of owned businesses. And so that were just everywhere around the city and the surrounding areas. So yeah, so that's and so for me, it just was a way of the culture. I always loved sneakers because it looked like art, and I just have always just yes, I love sneakers and I still love them. So
Yeah, yeah. How was it growing up in Philly with sneakerheads? Were you a big sneakerhead growing up, or did that something that you kind of got years later?
So I was a sneakerhead as probably I was fascinated with sneakers as a child, right? But I didn't necessarily so like my parents weren't into sneakers, my yeah, like
Yeah, I
they
know how
weren't
that
into
go.
sneakers, right? But actually it was my grandmother who is an artist and this is some of her artwork right behind me.
Mm,
She really embraced my love of sneakers. And that's when it was probably years later that I realized that was the connection. Sneakers were really like art, right?
mm.
And so my grandmother, who was such an artist, she spent a lot of time in New York, was from Durham, North Carolina, but spent a lot of time in New York, absolutely loved New York because, as an artist, you love New York. And
Absolutely.
when she would come and visit, and when I would say, Grandma, I want those sneakers, I want this. And she always admired that I love them. And I couldn't
Mhm.
understand why, because my parents would be like, oh, you don't need another pair of
Yeah, that's
sneakers, or
what
you
you
don't
do.
need
You
this.
got one.
Um, but grandma, right, would say, no, I like those sneakers for you. I would get them. And I never forget the Jordan 11s, the Concords,
Mhm.
when they first came out. My grandmother literally went all around New York City trying to find the Concords for me. And
Wow.
because, at that time, this is the 90s, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
didn't have Instagram, all these
yeah.
things that would let you know of the drop
Mhm.
date or whatever. I don't know how people understood, like, really found out about drops. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of like either you would stumble across them in the store or what. And so I eventually started seeing that the Concords that came out. And so I told my grandmother, and again, she looked all around New York City for them and could not find them, right? But
Mhm.
she just gave such a fighting chance. And so when the Concords re released, I believe that was in around 2016 or so. I brought them. I brought them in memory of my grandmother who passed away when I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
But I brought those Concords and I still have them to this day. But that is something I will always remember. And again, sneakers were, it was art. It was art to me,
Mhm.
and it still is art.
Wow. Shout out to grandma.
Yeah,
I know my
Grandma
grandma was
Lee.
doing that for me.
Listen,
She
Grandma
ain't know what was
Lee
going
from
on.
Durham, North Carolina.
My grandma was from North Carolina, and I know she wasn't doing that for sure. Yeah, yeah, I know she wasn't
Yeah,
doing that.
she was an artist. She at the elementary school. Well, it was an elementary and a high school that they had. It was the black school. They only had one school for the city of Durham for black students up until 1960, whatever, but she
Right.
graduated in the 50s.
Mhm.
And because she was such a great artist, they asked her to hand paint they asked her to hand paint a mural in the
Wow.
student gym. And so there are old historic photographs of Merrick Moore School. It still exists, Merrick Moore School in
Wow.
Durham, North Carolina,
Wow.
where there's images of her paintings there. So she was an artist through and through, right? And
Wow.
so when she made it to, New York, she
Mhm.
just flew, right? Because
Yeah.
she was just an artist. Yeah.
That's good, man. My grandma is what, 92 or 93? and she still goes to her class reunions, and I'll be saying, now let me ask you, how many people are
Attending, right?
how many people are still there? And then she was telling me for a while her teacher was there. Her teacher used to go every year, and I said, now,
Yeah, yeah. So you had to really like, okay, grandma, let me fact check that, right? Let me fact
yeah,
check.
she was actually there, but I was trying to figure out how old her teacher was because my grandmother might have stopped going when she turned 90 or something like that.
Right,
She just couldn't do it
right.
anymore. But I'm saying, like, how big was this
You got
class
well, so you got to understand, like, teachers come out 21, 22 years old and you start teaching. I mean, you
at
may be old
90
school,
though? Where does that put you?
but I'm just saying, if your grandma was only maybe 16, 17, the teacher might have only been about 3 or 4 years older. So that's around like 93,
Mm,
94. That's
well,
plausible.
I want to say that was elementary,
Oh, okay. Then never mind.
possibly. I don't. Yeah, I don't. There's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Even still, I'm just saying, like, what happens like, how do y'all figure out every year? And I just be laughing with her. I'm like, yo, how do you just
Yeah. 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 Maybe.
93? What'd your teacher do? I'm. Thank God for them. Thank God.
Listen.
Thank
It's
God.
wonderful that she goes back for her class reunion. That's
Yeah.
that's really awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we talk collections, right? There's about 4 tiers. We have the first tier; those are people who just kind of getting started. That's the
Mhm,
1 to 20 pair. Then you have people building their collection. That's more of the 20
mhm,
to 50 pair. Then you have the I've been in the game for a while. That's the 50 to
mhm.
100. Then you have the 100 plus, which is pretty much don't ask. Which tier
Okay.
do you fall into?
I'm around that 50 to 100.
Okay.
I so that third tier. So
Mhm,
what I do, I usually do a purge every 2 to 3 years,
mhm,
but I donate my sneakers, right? And so, particularly, I usually do a purge 2 to 3 years, every 2 to 3 years, and I do it around June, May, June. And the reason for that is because my shoe size, there are a lot of, say, middle school students or elementary school students, boys and girls, right,
mhm,
who are around my shoe size. Who, if indeed they received a lightly worn pair of Jordan 5s, right?
mhm. Yeah.
They absolutely love that for the summer, right?
Okay. Mhm,
and
absolutely.
so they'll have a great sneaker for the summer. They won't get clowned, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
At the basketball court or whatever, and they'll have a great a sneaker for the summer. And the parents love it, right? Because oh my gosh, Jen, you just saved me $200.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do repurpose, so to speak,
Yeah. Nice way.
my sneakers. And then, if you are a family member of mine or if you are a close friend and we are around the same size, a sneaker, you will be getting a pair out of the collection. You will. And sometimes, I do have a horrible habit sometimes of buying sneakers that
Mhm.
I like, but I don't necessarily get around to wearing, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I have literally had 4 or 5 friends come over and they have gone through my sneaker collection. They said, "Hey, this is what I want. This is what I want." And I'm like, "Okay, you can have this. No, this I'm going to keep in my collection.
Yeah.
You
Brick box.
can
Don't
have
touch
this
those.
one."
Don't touch.
Right. Right. And you go, baby, that part, right? Oh my
Exactly. Yeah.
gosh. Listen, have you held those in your hand? Oh my God, the brick by brick, the Nigel Sylvesters. Oh my,
No.
they're, when I tell you, it's just a beautiful shoe. Oh, just a
Yeah.
beautiful shoe.
Oh, I've seen it.
Anyways,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
oh, I mean, just gorgeous. I mean, it's so funny. The pictures don't do it any justice,
Nope.
right? When
Nope.
you see it in hand and just the different fabrics and the leather and the material, I'm like, this is just a wonderful shoe. So
Yeah.
kudos to Nike, kudos to Nigel for such a well
Yeah.
constructed shoe. So I appreciate that. But yeah, so I'm around that 50 to 100
Mm.
when I'm fully stocked. And then I do a purge, and then usually, I get back up to that 50 to 100. But again, I call myself really repurposing my sneakers. My heart is really, with community development and also youth
Mhm.
development.
That's
And
what's
so
up.
for me, how can and I will tell you, and I'll go back a little bit, the way in which I help to empower communities through sneaker culture. And so I worked at the YMCA in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And when I first got out of college, I worked for the YMCA, and there were young boys who would come in and just want to play basketball, right?
Hmm.
And so we had this great program called the Y Achievers Program, a college prep program in which, we were trying to get the students from North Philly, West Philly, some of the suburban communities. Hey, we're going to take all you guys down to Villanova University every first and third Saturday, and we're going to, do college prep and career exploration. And so I had this one young gentleman in the cohort who lived in the neighborhood,
Right.
and he was the local plug for the sneakers.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
And so he would literally say, "Hey, Miss Jenn, I know the bus to go to Villanova leaves at, 9 o'clock. However, the doors for DTLR down the street open at 9 o'clock. Could you just hold the bus for
Yeah.
about 15 minutes so I could go get the sneakers?" Because, he had a little business going, get the
Right.
sneakers for this person, that person, and then I'm
Yeah.
on the bus. And I would, and that was something I said, sure, sure. And now, I mean, just to see, some of the innovativeness that he has done now
Yeah.
through sneaker culture is absolutely phenomenal. But what I saw it as was an entry point and a relatability to a lot of the students that I had, right? And talking about, hey, okay, I know you may not want to talk about college, but let's talk about the latest Jordan release, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what goes into the business part of this, right? Let's
Yeah.
talk about, okay, the retail price, but then what the resale site price would be, right? What will you be making money, right? So it's a whole financial literacy lesson around sneaker culture. So I really saw it as just not, just not a fashion sense,
Yeah.
and certainly I
Yeah.
got all the credit with the boys, right?
Of course.
With the young boys when I would come in my Jordans and my, and my New
Better believe
Balances
it.
or whatever I had on, right? And they were like, "Miss Jen, man, that's fly," right? And I said, "Well, you see what, jobs pay, right? You see how me working a full-time job, this is what I can get, right? And
Right.
I've afforded this by myself." And so it really, I use it as a vehicle for, career development and also financial literacy as well. So it has just opened up so many avenues, I would say, in my life. But yeah, but that sneaker collection just keeps on growing. And sometimes I get embarrassed by it. You get a little shameful, but I'm like, why am I being shameful about
Only for
this?
people
Right?
who are not sneaker collectors will shame
There
you.
you go. There, and that's exactly what I say, right? Some friends are like, "You don't need another pair of sneakers." I'm like, mind your business, please.
Yeah.
But they fully have embraced who I am, and some of those same people who say I don't need another pair of sneakers have benefited from me giving them sneakers. So
Of course. Of course. And after that, it's like, hey, girl, you know what? I'm stopping by your house again.
yeah, yep,
And then
yep,
they.
yep. Or I have friends who say, "Oh, I'm going to." You remember when sneaker balls were like really hot? I guess
Oh
they died
God.
down now.
Thank
Everybody
God.
was hitting me up. "I'm going to a sneaker ball.
Lord.
Can you give me right?" And I'm like, "Okay. Can you?
Yeah.
Can you? Can I borrow this pair?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" Right. So I've
Mm.
done that as well. But yes, I am a avid sneaker collector. And I will tell you, a lot of the kicks that I get, a lot of the retros
Mhm.
for, where I started were the ones where I wanted to have them at 10, 11, 12 years old, but I didn't know when they dropped. I didn't know how the system worked. And so
Yeah.
I missed out on that, or mom didn't have it that week to pay for it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I missed out. And so I found myself almost reliving kind of a childhood
Oh yeah. That void.
dream or void. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah, but it
understand.
feels good. It feels good as an adult. So yeah, it feels good.
Now that's what's up. And I mean, just to get off topic for a minute with sneakers,
Sure.
what you said was super important as far as relatability. What I've noticed is, and this is even from the church sector, I looked up and all I seen was prayer breakfasts
Yeah.
and then concerts. And I didn't have a
Hmm.
problem with those things. I had a problem with those only being the things that were available to some people who probably around my age group when I was younger. So I said to myself, what if I just started utilizing some of the social currency that we do anyway, like food, sneakers, those
Hmm.
type of things, and
Hmm.
just utilizing those as the platform to expand kingdom
Yeah.
or to invite people in to those
Hmm.
conversations or just having a conversation
Absolutely.
with people. And it just worked magically. And when I say magically, it was all God ordained, but you start realizing that for me, sneakers was the ultimate icebreaker.
Yeah. No,
You know?
absolutely. And I will tell you, I am
Mhm.
currently serving within my youth department, right, as a
Hmm.
youth leader. And it's an entry point,
Yeah.
right? I was somewhere with our young people on Sunday, and I said, "Well, what's your latest drop? What's the latest thing that you all got?" Right? And so we had a whole conversation around that. What sneakers that they get, or what
Yeah.
sneakers that they're looking forward to getting, right? And so it's certainly, and again, I think just like how we see clothes and how we see, I'm in the sanctified church, so I wear hats as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
And so, so I'm all fashion, right?
Right.
But it's just the same way in which we have that creativity. It's the same way we have creativity with sneakers, right? And so it
Right.
really does give an point, an unapologetic entry point to a child expressing themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I've recognized that. And so even with the children, and I love it, and this is not necessarily a name brand, but when I
Mhm.
see young children and they have like the LA gear, or they have like the
Oh yeah. Them my
dinosaur,
joints.
like I just think that they're so adorable, right? Because
Yeah.
what it is this child at even a young age
Hmm.
expressing themselves.
Right.
Right. This is, even if I can get it in a little bit, right? I want the dinosaur shoes, or I want this.
Yeah.
And so I see it as such a wonderful agency that they have to do that. And so when I see, as our young people continue to grow up and in young adulthood and things like that, to have on a pair of sneakers in which they, it may not be the most popular sneaker, or, maybe it was the hot drop. I don't know, but
Right.
it's something that they like and they like to express themselves in. I absolutely love that. And again, it just gives them such agency.
Yeah, and it's just a different way approach of the same thing. Same way you utilize that as an entry way to say, "Oh, you see what a career could get you, or you see what the right career who pays this much." And now the ears start because there'll always be positive and negative peer pressure, right?
Hmm.
And most times they only
Hmm.
focus on the negative. And now it's like, wait, but this is the positive side to it. So you have to make a
Hmm.
choice,
Hmm.
but just know that you have more than one decision that you can make.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. More than one decision, and understanding that even if you also, and I think what we're seeing, so the way in which it shows up, even,
Mhm.
I'm in a senior leadership role, at my job. And some days I'll wear a suit,
Mhm.
and then I'll put on a pair of Jordan 1 lows, right?
Right, right.
With it. And so it's a way of creative expression.
Yeah, yeah,
And it also shows my team, right? That yes, there is a dress code, but there's some way that you can have that creative expression, with whatever your dress code is, to make it your own, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so it's just a way of individuality that shows up as well. And again, as we are shaping ourselves, even when we're thinking about careers, or even in the church, that individuality part is so key, right?
Mhm.
And I don't think we really talk about that enough, and especially in an age of where DEI is being attacked. We
Yeah,
don't talk a lot about individuality and how much and how important that is into the kingdom, right?
right, yeah.
And so folks who are, or I would say this, churches and organizations that are just one monolith, they're not reaching, they're not impacting, right?
Yeah,
But when you have diversity, of ages, of genders, of styles, right,
yeah,
of speech,
yeah,
all of that, it really contributes so much to the overall kingdom. And so, and that's something I will tell you, in our youth department at the church, we certainly, we celebrate that, and we encourage that with our young people,
yeah,
and with the hopes that, the older generation also looks at us as an example as well. And then also even in the workplace. And
yeah.
so I love to say, I love to empower people. And so part of that is empowerment as well.
Yeah, the church conversation is so, layered.
Oh, very layered.
It's so layered because I was talking to someone else, this season as well, and I was saying, the church is one of the only businesses that I've seen that has to market to about 6 different generations at
Yeah.
once, every
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
every week,
Yeah.
like, one person, 6
So the church
generations.
was actually doing, so it's so funny. The church was the forebearers of this, because now workplaces are just starting to experience this, where they're
Yeah,
doing trainings and things like, so
yeah,
even in my office, I think we have about 4 or 5 generations, right? Because
mhm,
folks are working longer.
right, yep,
But the church, we have been masters at
yeah, yeah,
beforehand, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right.
it's
Yep.
it's 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 so wild, And it's like, they
Mhm.
got the silent generation, your baby boomers, your
Yep.
Generation X, Y, Generation
Mhm.
Z, Alphas,
Mhm.
whatever else they create. And then it's like every week you have to, or maybe not every week, but at least once a month, you have to figure out something for everybody.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if you don't,
Mhm.
then you start seeing people give less or whatever it is. And not that you want to do
Mhm.
it for them to give, but you have to be
Mhm.
creative, like you said, in certain
Yeah.
things. Growing up, food was always good for us, but it's different, slightly different now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then navigating those nuances,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
think that's the reason why I tell parents all the time, put your children in church.
Yeah.
They start to gain those skills, those soft skills
Yeah.
that we talk about, and that, even out in the world in which, some folks don't have to be
Yeah.
successful in their jobs. And then some folks have to enter into trainings and things like that. When you're in a church, you get those soft skills very early on because you are
Mhm.
navigating nuances, right? Children are navigating nuances. All of us are. We're
Right.
navigating that, right?
Mhm.
The way in which I talk to little brother so and so is not the way I'm going to talk to mother so and so, right?
Right. Right.
And so so I'm navigating all of that. And so when I go into a workplace and I have to do that as
Mhm.
well, right? I'm
Yeah.
very well versed at it and I
Yeah.
understand it, and I can really negotiate and navigate that very easily. Where for other people it really trips them up, right?
Yeah.
And so I tell people
Yeah.
all the time, listen, get your babies in church. It teaches you discipline. There's so many other lessons with just having a child in church and being participatory in church and involved in ministry. It really does have so many benefits that go beyond the church walls.
Yeah. And we'll get to sneakers in just a moment, but what you're saying is super important because we don't realize that some of those skills are developing in us just by merely doing them. Like I've worked in the
Yeah.
customer service industry for years, and one thing I picked up is how to handle a conversation,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it's like one thing I've learned is if you ask somebody what they want, sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they have no clue. So you have to learn how to navigate spaces where people know exactly what they want and people who don't know exactly what they want. And you have to be able
Mhm.
to deliver the same product to both of them,
There you
you know what I
go.
mean, and the same result. But you won't see it that way because most times we're not trained to see, hey, I interned in church for the summer and I picked up the phones and had to say, welcome to X, Y, and Z church. This is X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? We don't see that as development. I'm like, yo, you learning how to communicate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's that multi generation
Yeah,
too, right? So I'm just
yeah,
not learning how to communicate with folks who are my age. It's,
yes,
navigating all of that. People who are, even thinking, you know, people who are in ministry and who aren't in ministry,
right,
right?
right.
It's just such a great training ground. And again, I grew up in the Church of God in Christ, right?
Mhm.
And still am. Someone the other day asked me, they said, "Don't you want to become, Baptist?" I said, "No, I think I am Kojic born, or Kojic stay, Kojic bred."
Mhm.
And so I just love the Church of God in Christ. I'm fifth generation Church of God in Christ, and so
Right,
it is just certainly the church for me at this point, right?
right,
And I don't see it changing. I don't see it changing. But one of the ministries that we have within the Church of God in Christ is the Sunshine Band, and that is actual ministry that's for children 12 years and younger. Now, the great thing about the Sunshine Band, your child, your parent, nor the child has to be a member of the church in order to be a part of the Sunshine Band, right? And so it truly is an outreach mechanism for us to be able to, to expose and also train young babies,
okay,
right,
nice.
in the ways of the Lord, right?
Mm,
But then you also get speaking
mm,
opportunities, right?
wow,
You learn scripture,
that's
you can
good.
sing, right?
Yeah,
And so all of those skills that are so needed, even outside of the church walls, is
right.
being imparted into children 12 and younger. And I will
Wow,
tell you, I don't know many spaces outside the church that do that for children that young,
no,
right?
not at all.
Outside of just the church period. I'm pretty sure in some of our other, denominations and,
Yeah,
organizations, there are some children's ministries that are the same. And so, but the church really is that ground for good training for young
development.
people
Yeah,
and development. Yes, yes,
yeah, for sure.
yes. And so development for young people.
For
Yep.
free, for free.
For free. That's the thing, right? You don't have to pay a camp cost. You don't have to, right? Right?
Lil Booger can get on the drum set for Children's Day and stink up the place, and everybody will say good job.
good job, right? Or a young person trying to learn how to play the
That's it.
organ, and you got
Fashion
to
show,
rummage through it.
fashion show, and you can screw up the fashion show, and they will celebrate you to the wheels fall off.
Easter parts,
Yeah,
all of that, right?
like I used to see little children in fashion shows. They send them out there. They get all. They start crying, and everybody claps loud. And I'm like, this is not real world. This is not the real world. Because the church is the only place that can happen. A lot of times, you know what I'm saying? And for free, and you learn a lot of
Yeah.
these things, man.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. That's funny.
wow. So let me ask you: when you hear the term sneakerhead, what does that mean to you? Like, what rings through your head? Like, what's the definition that comes into your mind when someone says they're a sneakerhead? What do you see?
What comes into my mind is that this person has fully embraced the artistry and the ultimate gift of the creation,
Mhm,
and also the creation. I would say the creation, and also and I can't think of the exact word, but let's just go with
mhm,
creation, the creation of an actual shoe, right?
right.
Of a actual of sneakers. And so for me, that's what it means, right? When
Mhm,
people say, "Oh, Jen is a sneakerhead," I don't think about it as currency, right? I don't think
mhm,
about it as, okay, I have 50 to 100 sneakers, right?
right.
I think of it is that I have fully leaned into
Yeah,
understanding and embracing, right, the creation and the beauty, there you go, the beauty of sneakers.
yeah,
And even the ones that I don't like, right, even the ones I said, hey, I when I was younger, I would wear Air Force Ones,
yeah.
and so it's not my favorite now,
Right.
right? But when I see Air Force Ones, when I see them in the store, I'll look at them and say, oh wow, like I'll sit there and still admire them. I probably
Right.
won't buy them, because I
I
probably won't
understand.
wear them,
Yeah.
but there still is an admiration, right,
Oh yeah.
of the actual shoe. And so just understanding that I have just leaned into the beauty and the creation of sneakers. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I know you mentioned the Concords earlier, but what was the sneaker that kind of got you into being a sneakerhead? Like when you copped this pair of sneakers, you was like, I'm officially a sneakerhead. The bug has bit me.
Ugh, ugh. What's so it's different phases of my life, right? And so I would say it was the Concords that opened my eyes,
Okay.
right, to knowing that this is just beauty, right?
Hmm.
Um, when I really truly leaned in, meaning when I started swiping my credit card, I fell in love.
Uh-huh.
I went to graduate school in Boston, and I
Hmm.
fell in love with Dunks.
Oh yeah.
And that's when dunks were heavily out the first round, right?
Yeah.
Where folks were just embracing. Well, I don't know how much folks were embracing dunks. So that, because I would tell you, those were the days too where I could just walk into a sneaker store and grab a sneaker, right? So
Yeah.
I will tell you, I miss those days too. Now
Oh yeah.
everything's
Thousand
online,
percent.
and if you're not online, it sells out, right?
Yeah.
And so, it was those days where if I was casually shopping, I could go into a sneaker store and there were a lot of selections of
Yeah.
sneakers and which were hot, right? And I would buy them. But dunks, and there was a pair of dunks in
Hmm.
Boston, oddly enough, that were shaped like a baseball. They had the stitching like baseball and all of that. And so
Hmm.
it's Boston, you had the Red Sox, right? So that was a
Yeah.
hot sneaker. And I remember just loving those sneakers to no end. And I would wear them on campus, and I wore them a lot of days. The base was white, and then they had the stitching, the brown stitching on them, and
Hmm.
they were absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. And
Wow.
so from there, I got into the blazers as well. And so the blazers came out with so many different colorways. And I'm also a color person. I'm really, I love color. Again, it's about expression. And so I really got into blazers. And then when I came back after graduate school from Boston, that's when I really, really started outside of the Concord, started to get into Jordans.
Okay.
Um, it started off with just a love and obsession with, and I say obsession very healthily, like not anything crazy, with
We
Jordan
understand.
11s. Yeah. Okay.
we
All right.
understand.
I just want to make sure, just for the followers out there.
Yeah, they may not, but we do.
Yep. Yep, the Jordan 11s. And then, of course, eventually bought the Conqueror pair, but I got the Gammas, which are getting ready to come out again.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
so excited that they will be releasing again, and then also um the 11s where I started, and then I got into the ones. So I will tell you, I didn't like the ones at first
I understand.
because
I understand.
they
Trust.
reminded me of the dunks, right?
Yes.
Because it was
Yes.
all high top dunks. So that was the other thing. In 2011, 2010, the
Mhm.
hot thing wasn't the weren't the what do you call it? Lower dunks, the ones that dunk lows.
Oh
It
no, no.
was the high tops, right?
Yes.
So when I'm like, okay, I love my dunks, but now like Jordan ones, they look just like dunks. I don't understand. Like
Yeah.
to the untrained eye, you're like, I don't understand,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then I wish I could remember what was my first pair of Jordan ones,
Hmm.
and let me
I
tell you,
understand. I
that just was
understand.
the cake.
I understand. Same.
Put on a pair of Jordan ones with a pair of Nike socks, and
Yeah.
it was just it's the vibe. It makes your foot look so clean and crisp
Yeah.
and just straight. It's just a great shoe. And so yeah, so then I stayed in the one phase for a very long time. And I'm still quite, I'm still
Mhm.
there. But recently I will tell you I've moved into fours.
Mhm.
And then also into threes as well. So that's where I am.
Shit,
And then I
you
also, yeah,
you had
yeah,
you had a
yeah.
journey.
I had a whole journey. I had a whole journey. That is not the question you asked. You said, "What's the one
Listen,
pair?" And I went in, but that just shows you how much of a sneakerhead I am. I just can't
yeah.
narrow it down to one shoe.
Over the years,
And so
that
yeah,
happens over the years. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
and
you,
you
different
evolve.
moods. Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
evolve. So no one talked about the evolution of a sneakerhead, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so and how you continually evolve. Because I probably will not wear a high top dunk right now. That's
Right.
not probably my thing.
Yeah.
But I will do ones. I will do fours. I will do threes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have some New Balances that are really the 90s, 60s, 60, yeah, the 90s, 60s, excuse me. And then I have some some sambas and things like that, which I love. And so, but that you really do evolve as a
Yeah.
sneaker. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like I had a big run with. I think. Well, I'll save it for later on. I'll get because I want to make sure that we give you time to um,
yeah.
talk about some of the projects you have going on. Because I know we're here for sneakers and stuff like, but I seen you getting an award. I'll let you tell us what the award was for and some of the great things that you're doing behind the scenes. But please share with the familiar some of the things you've been working on. Because we're gonna get back into sneakers, I promise y'all. But she got some dope stuff going on that I want to make sure that y'all are aware of it. So
Yeah,
please.
no, absolutely. So one, I did mention my day job, and so I have the privilege of leading out the Urban League in Wilmington, Delaware, as the president and CEO. And so we recently received an award from the NAACP here in Delaware,
Wow.
called the Freedom Fighter Award. And so it was such a great award, not just for me, but also for the entire team, the board. In times like these where it's a little bit difficult with the current administration that's going to come out and say it, and with a
God
lot of
bless.
resources being cut.
God bless.
I think we need, as freedom fighters, and certainly as organizations that are for justice, equity, equality, we need to come together. And so to be honored by the NAACP was such an honor, and it's certainly an acknowledgement, and a nod for the NAACP to say to the Urban League, "We're with you," right? And
Wow.
so it was such a great honor, and it was and I will tell you, in this freedom fighting work, you can't always be on the front lines and just doing the work. You also got to celebrate. And so
Yeah.
when we won that award, I think it was about a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
at the NAACP's gala, we were able to celebrate. We were able to celebrate our wins, and certainly to even rejuvenate
Mhm.
for the more of the fight to come.
Right.
Because I like to say this famous quote by Coretta King, who actually is behind me in that poster as well.
God bless her.
Just a great quote by Coretta King. She says, freedom is never really won. You must win it in every generation, right? And
Yeah.
so we never will get to full freedom, right? It
Mhm.
must be won and reclaimed in every generation. And
Yeah.
so we know that this freedom freedom fight is a lifelong thing, but we're willing to roll up our sleeves. But in the meantimes of those, in the meantimes and some of the breaks, we will celebrate. And so we celebrated a couple of weeks ago with that award.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, what is that? What is the Urban League for those who may have not
Absolutely.
heard of it before? Can you just expound on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So the Urban League, we are a civil rights organization at our core. And so we do everything from direct service programming through housing, youth development, education, workforce, health equity, and also advocacy. And then on the and advocacy programming and leadership development programming. And then on the other end, we also are advocacy. We're an advocacy organization. So I like to use this example at any point in my office. I can have someone coming in to ask for rental assistance because they're getting
Mm.
ready to be evicted. But then the next minute, I could be on the phone with the governor or the state
Wow.
senator or our U.S. senator, right, talking about a recent bill that has passed or we're looking to get passed to make sure that we have equity in our communities. And so the Urban League as a whole is over 100 years old, founded
Mm.
in 1910 in New York City
That's it. Oh,
by
wow.
two, yeah, there you go, founded by two suffragists who were responding to the Great Migration, right? It was millions of African Americans from the South to the North. And
Mm.
just a historical fact, from the South to the North or from rural communities to more urban communities. There are urban leagues in the South. Just a historic fact about the Great Migration. The Great Migration is the largest singular or the largest internal migration in the history of the world, right?
Mm.
And so that just really gives a glimpse, right, of some of the terror, the lack of opportunities there were for many folks that
Wow.
they would literally leave what they called home, and we don't understand how. Sometimes we undermine how pioneering that is,
Yeah.
and so
Scary.
yeah, when we look at what's going on right now, we see some of our brothers and sisters who are coming over from other countries and who may be in certain standards undocumented or what have you, and now they're being torn away. We have to also think about the fact that, hey, these folks who left their homeland to come here, right? How pioneering was that? And how
Yeah.
dare we as a country, right? How dare we as a country take that right away from these folks, right? How dare we, not live up to what our Constitution says? And so that's for another day. I could preach all about that. But it was the largest internal migration in the history of the world. And so the Urban League was created because when you have folks who move from rural communities to urban communities, things are different, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
have job training, right? You have to
Mhm.
have education. You have to have support systems around housing. And so that's really why the Urban League was formed. And I'll give you another great story about the Urban League.
Mm.
In 1945, there was a young lady who left Alabama,
Mhm.
and she packed her bags and she went to a school in Ohio. And she was in college. She went to a school in Ohio. And so while she was in Ohio, she actually wrote an article for the Urban League called "Why Did I Come to College?" Right. And she
Mhm.
talked about her journey from Alabama to Ohio. Well, a couple of years later, she decided to leave that Ohio school and she went to a school in Boston called the New
Mm.
England Conservatory of Music.
Wow.
And so while she was there, she basically was running out of money. She was like a grad student there, and she, didn't have a ton of money to live on. And so she was almost ready to give up. She was almost ready to give up, pack her bags, and go back to Alabama. And then it was the Urban League that called and said, "Hey, we can connect you with a job somewhere so that
Wow.
you can actually stay in Boston." And so the cool thing about this story is 2 months later,
Mm.
in February of 1951, she met a young doctoral student at Boston University. His name was Martin Luther King Jr.
Mm.
And so they got together, had their first date, and they set the world on fire. So that was Coretta King. And so I would say this, that we owe the Urban League a great deal of debt, because who knows if the Urban League hadn't stepped in, given her that job, who knows where we will be right now.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
so we have a whole lot to owe the Urban League. So hopefully y'all got a crash course on what the Urban League is.
Yeah. Now, if somebody needed the Urban League services, how could they go about like finding one in their community or finding one
Mhm.
closest to them or finding one at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can look at the National Urban League site, and they have
Mhm.
all the affiliates listed by state on the site. But usually, most likely, if you were just to Google Urban League in my area and you have your location on, they usually do pull up the Urban League that is closest to you. And so, another thing with National Urban League, there are a lot of online resources. So, the Urban League is just not for those who may be, who may just need workforce or who may just need a home or first time home buying. No, it's also for those who may be that young professional, right? That's
Mhm.
looking to take the next step in their career and they want some training resources. The National Urban League offers that as well. And so they do have a YouTube channel where there's
Mhm.
a lot of like lunchtime, professional development crash courses,
Right. Okay.
in our city, our young people find that very, very young professionals find that very valuable as well.
Mm.
But it's just a simple search on the National Urban League site. And I would just encourage you if you can, right? Not only if you need Urban League services, certainly reach out, but if you also just want to support the movement, just reach
Mhm.
out and become a member of the movement. In times like this, what's going to speak volumes to an administration like this and the times that we're living in are numbers, right?
Yeah.
Our strong coalitions, our strong movements. And so, how do you join the movement? Well, become a member of the movement. In Wilmington, Delaware, our general membership is just $50. And just visit us at www.mwul.org and just become a contributor to the movement because we certainly need you. And again, what's going to speak volumes during times like these is really going to be the strength of the movement through the people who have joined.
Nice. Is that $50 a month or $50 a year?
$50 a year.
Oh, yeah,
$50.
that's important. We need a
Yeah,
sale.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
like
$50 a year.
sales.
Yep, $50 a year.
Okay.
$50 a year.
All right.
Something pretty manageable. Yep.
Okay. Okay. That's less than $5 a month.
Yeah, there you go. Let's break it down. Yep.
Let's prioritize,
Yep.
my people. Let's
Yep.
prioritize. All right. So I'm gonna take you back, right?
Take me back.
We're gonna go back a little bit, right? We're gonna
Mhm.
go back to the freshman year of high school. Mom takes you she takes you on a sneaker shopping trip or a school shopping trip, and she says there's an unlimited budget. You can get whatever kind of sneakers you want. What are the two sneakers that you're getting for your first day of school?
So there are a pair of Nike trainers.
Right.
So they're yep, Nike trainers. Those were big when I was
Bo
young.
Jacksons?
Yep,
Bo Okay,
Bo
gotcha.
Jacksons.
Okay,
Yep,
okay,
those.
okay,
So that was good. And then a pair of Air Forces, pair of Air Force
okay.
Ones. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. All white
So
or
all white, all
okay,
white, all
okay.
white.
No,
You know how
nothing
that
else.
go. All white. I never forget one time the all white ones were sold out, and I just
Uh-huh.
wanted, I was being thirsty. I just want a pair of Air Force Ones, and I
Yeah,
get the all black ones. It's like, why did I
you
get
get the
these
same.
shoes? It's not the same. It's so funny how a color can completely
Yeah,
change a whole sneaker. It
yeah.
was not the same, but I still wore them. Hey, it was
I
what
like
it
the all
was.
blacks. You just can't do
Yeah,
nothing with
yeah, yeah. And then I will
it.
also tell you another thing.
Mhm.
That was huge for Timberlands.
Oh yeah,
We're
there was that.
butters. So we have butters,
Yeah,
right? And then you had your beef and broccolis, right? So
yeah,
did and now mind you, when you started school, it was still like 90 degrees outside, but you ain't care. You rolled up with your butters and you looked nice.
yeah.
So that was big as well. Yeah.
People. So when you say beef and broccoli, you're referring to the field boots, right? Was it the field boots? Yeah, with the okay, because I know in New York they had the butters, of course, but then there was a small period of time when they had the mac and cheeses, which was the field boots
Oh,
with the which was the same color as the butters,
okay.
but for some people they call it mac and cheese, and
I see
so
what you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, no, no.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I got you. Gotcha. No, I'm talking beef and broccoli, the actual, what is it, the green and brown
yeah,
pair.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah, 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 yeah.
okay, okay. So let me ask you, because we talked about a few sneakers, right? What's the most iconic silhouette in your eyes based on these four sneakers? The Jordan 1, the Adidas Shell Toe, the Air Force One, or Chuck Taylor's? Out of those
Ooh,
four,
you know
which
where
one
I'm
you
going.
picking?
Come on, which one do you think I'm going to pick?
Let's see. Most iconic all time?
Come on.
I would hope you pick the Chuck Taylors, but you probably would pick the the Jordan ones more than likely.
There you go. There you go. Jordan ones. Now, I will tell you, I love me a good pair of Chuck Taylors,
Mhm.
right? I love me. some Chucks. Like that
Mm,
is, I will tell you, that was the ultimate when I was growing up. We had do you remember, I don't know whether it was big in New York, but Keds,
yeah,
y'all
yeah,
had the Keds, and it, like,
mhm,
girls had them, right? So it was
mhm,
like the high top Keds, and then they came out with like a pink pair and a blue pair and all
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right? And so
yeah,
we would wear those during the summer. Like that was a main summer shoe, right? And the
yeah.
same thing with Chucks was a main summer shoe. And so I loved me a good pair of Chucks. I will tell you, my mother was not a huge fan of Chucks because they did not have the support that they liked, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
although I loved them, I really didn't get too much into them because they didn't have the support. And so that's why, it never, because they were fairly cheaper than other
that's why I
sneakers,
loved them.
right? Right. But they didn't have the support. Like my mother was
Right,
big on that. You need to have good shoes. Like good
yeah,
shoes meant you had support. Not that they were popular. Like you had support. So
yeah,
I would never kind of win that argument with her. And so I would have to kind of go with other shoes. And so, but I will tell you, my one of my favorite pair of sneakers are the off whites, Chuck Taylors, right? I mean, just beautiful. And even the more worn down they get, the more beautiful they are.
haven't
And
worn
so
mine yet, haven't worn mine yet.
you haven't worn yours yet. Sneaker,
Only pictures in the house. It's something about that sneaker, I just cannot take it outside. I feel like the
I
value
hear
gonna go
you.
down, and I don't know, I just don't.
And it's such a, I mean, just the detailing. I mean,
Oh,
rest in peace to Virgil for sure. I mean, such a genius, gone way too soon.
man,
And just the artistry, even in that shoe from, and it's so funny how folks don't understand it because they're like, what's that written on the side of your shoe? And what's that orange thing? I'm like, I like the tag, right? It's
yeah,
such an
yeah,
iconic shoe. And so that is probably one of my favorite that I have right now.
oh, yeah,
That is just a grail to me where I wear it, but
mhm,
it's still a grail, right?
yeah, I get it, I
And
love it.
then yeah, so yeah, so that's it. But yes, the Jordan 1, it just, so part of it is I'm a Michael Jordan fan. I'm a fan of the
Oh, that's
story
where we
of
going with this.
how,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, well, so I will tell you, I'm a fan of,
You
the
stand
overcoming
one.
story, right? I
Uh-huh.
mean, was rejected from his high school basketball
Yeah.
team and da 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 and all this. And then I will also say too, I spent some time at the University of North Carolina, so I do think that there's some
I see what
loyalty
you're
there
doing.
with, the house in which Jordan built, right?
Yeah.
And then my mother's family's from North Carolina, so part of it is
Yeah.
is that
Okay.
connection.
That's fair.
But I will also say that Jordan 1, and to be very honest, I actually like their original 85 silhouette even better.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and so something about the way the back looks, that is just
Mhm.
really cool how it's wide and then it comes down narrow. It's
Mhm.
such a cool shoe. And then, again, you have on tube socks or something with it. It's just a beautiful shoe. I can't wait until I can get my hands on the Jordan 1 85 breads, right? I missed the
Mhm.
original release when it came out. And so I'm like, I kind of want to do the resale, but sometimes those prices are just outrageous.
Oh, yeah, 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 I know,
And
I know.
so so I'm still trying to figure it out. And there's a
Yeah.
rumor that it could be releasing far in the future. I don't know. But anyways, but it's just I truly just love that shoe and the way it looks on my feet. I mean, even when I see like the Instagram posts, like people are posting ones,
Yeah.
I can just look at it forever just because it's just
Yeah.
such a great silhouette for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could tell your mom that Chuck Taylors have Nike Zoom technology inside of them now. So, if she wants to, re-up on some sneakers she didn't buy you, now would be the perfect time because they're comfortable
That's what
now.
I'm telling her. Well, I supply all her sneaker supply, right? So
Okay.
like she'll be walking down the street, like my
Mhm.
block that I grew up,
Yeah.
and she'll have on, what's the latest ones that oh it was a pair of ones. It was a pair of ones.
Mhm.
Very nice. And my mother has a very like she has a narrow foot, and so they look really good on her.
Perfect,
And
perfect.
so she was walking down the street, and people, the young boys were like, "Free,
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's eating it up. She's like,
Yeah.
okay, Jennifer, when you gonna get my next pair? I'm like, are you
See?
serious,
See?
lady?
Now
And so yeah, but now but she's quasi, gotten into the sneaker culture. So
yeah.
now I can take her actually sneaker shopping with me, and she appreciates when
Yeah.
I do that versus, being judgmental. She never was super judgmental, but now she appreciates and embraces it. And she
Yeah.
even asked me to buy her sneakers while I'm in the sneaker store.
Yeah. It's like a museum. Like before they looked at it as like, oh, it's too much. Now it's like a museum. You go in there and you like, I don't plan on buying the Basquiat painting. I just want to see it.
There you go.
You know what
There
I'm
you
saying?
go.
It just
There you go. There you go. Like when I go to, whenever I come to your fair city, I always like to go to either Stadium Goods or Flight Club.
oh, you got money.
Well, so I will tell you, I will tell you this. I research if I'm going to buy something, I
Okay.
research what that is and how much it
Okay.
costs. So I kind of going there with the mindset, right?
Uh-huh.
And so when I go in, but it's literally, I never forget, I went in with a friend and I Flight Club and I went in and I literally, it was the first time I was there, about last year or 2 years ago. And I stood in the middle and I just was like, wow. And they're like, here, you're going to buy something? I'm like, just sit down. Let me take this
Yeah.
in.
Take a
Like, you
moment.
have no idea how beautiful this is
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like a museum. It's just beautiful. Just from the smell,
Yeah.
from the looks, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. And
Yeah.
so some folks that, you don't get that unless you're really into sneakers, but I just literally
Yeah.
sit there and go, wow.
Yeah, but some
So yeah.
people I was heavy into art, especially like street art. And a lot of my friends didn't get that bug until they went with me. Like there was some Basquiat exhibits one time and they knew they heard of him, but they didn't like I walked them through the story and stuff like that and it was way different when they got to the end of it. And they had a different appreciation. So then they go out and now every time they see a graffiti on the wall, it's taking pictures like, yo, have you seen this? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I got the bug.
Yeah. 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 Yep. 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 Yep.
The
Yep. Yep.
art
Yep.
bug.
Yep.
And they would go out with me to like different exhibits, and I would always study somebody's style and work and stuff like that. And when I had the conversation with that person, I always mentioned something that they probably weren't thinking about, like that
Yeah.
piece of art that was on that back alley. I was like, "Hey, you
Yeah.
did X one," and then they'd be like, yeah, man, I admire your work. You don't got to tell me who you are, but I appreciate you. You know what I'm
Love
saying?
it.
And then yeah,
Love
that's
it.
it, man. And art has always been that icebreaker as well for me,
Mhm.
because you can like six people see something and like you will see a pair of dunks and you'd be like, man, the stitching. And I'd be like, the
Mhm.
way it fits and the way it forms to the foot.
Yep.
You'd be
Yep.
like, man, the way the
Yep.
laces hit when you tie them,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
everybody gets something different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a huge determining factor for me, and this is sometimes my downfall with sneakers.
Mm,
It can be one little detail about a
me
sneaker,
too.
which makes me fall in love.
Oh,
It
I'm
could
the
be
exact opposite. I fall out of love with one detail.
oh, you fall out. Well. So I'm tell you that can happen,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's one little detail that will make me love the entire shoe,
Oh yeah.
right?
Understand.
And so and it's such a horrible habit because I'm like, oh my gosh, you're really getting ready to buy another shoe off of
Yeah.
this one detail. But it's like, yeah,
Yeah. It'd be it.
yeah,
Yeah. It.
yeah,
Listen, with
yeah.
sneakerheads, this is what
Yeah.
happens.
Like I will tell you, the Jordan 4s, right?
Mhm.
I will not buy a pair of Jordan 4s if it does not have the Nike written out with swoosh on the back. That is a
Mm.
detail that I
Understood.
have to have, right? Don't just give
Understood.
me a swoosh. Don't just give me a Jordan sign, right? I need
Yeah.
the Nike and the swoosh written out.
That's
That to
fair.
me is the ultimate kind of Jordan 4, right?
Yeah.
And so, but again, that's a detail that maybe some other people don't care for, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
With me, it's like it has to matter. It has to matter. And so anyway, so just thinking about that, right?
That's why I like
It's just
Nigel.
those little details that just make me fall in love.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
why I like Nigel. That
oh,
bike. I said,
oh,
oh,
I
bike.
was getting ready to
I said, bike.
listen.
Yeah.
Do I have
Whoa.
my brick by bricks out here? No, I know. I
Don't do
put
it to
them
me.
up.
Don't do it to me.
Yeah, yeah. But I do have the bike airs. I do have the bike airs. I did buy those. And so I did have to do a resale, unfortunately. But I got them when they first hit resale. So the hype hadn't heightened now. I think now
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
reselling. It's
yeah.
around like 600 or so. So I got it before.
Yeah.
But the brick by brick, I actually paid a good penny for
I'm sure you
at
did.
a sneak at
I'm
a
sure
sneaker
you
con.
did.
And but you know what? It was still worth it. It was his brother who does a lot of he goes to a lot of the sneaker cons and things like
Mm,
that. Had a bunch of sides because a lot of people, unfortunately, when I go to these sneaker cons, a lot
mhm.
of folks don't have size eights, right? I like eight, eight men's, 9.5 women's, right? They don't have that. They have all
Yeah.
larger sizes. And I'm like, what? And
Yeah.
so he had it. And it was another brother there, who was buying from him. And my major thing was like, you legit, like making sure you
Yeah,
legit. And he was
yeah,
like, so the brother next to me was like, sis, he's legit. I go to every city, buy from him. He's like the best. And he also had the best price there. And so I got him there. And I'm like, I'm just in love. I haven't
yeah,
worn them yet, though. I have not worn them yet, but I'm absolutely in love. Yeah.
yeah. I went to SneakerCon a couple years back, maybe, and
Mhm.
I didn't know who Nigel Sylvester was at the time. I didn't know how big of a deal he was, and I always take my camera with me. And when I seen how everybody else was reacting to him, I just pretended to be his photographer, right? So I just started taking pictures of him, and all the kids started running up to me like, "Hey, you think I can get a picture with him?" I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh, this is
Oh,
this work. Okay." You know what I'm saying?
okay.
But I was able to catch some dope shots of him and his bike airs. And he threw some in the crowd, like they were doing some giveaways.
Yeah.
And I seen the sneakers coming toward me when he was throwing them, but then I also seen the crowd like collapsing as it was like
Yeah.
fast. So I had to choose between the camera and the bike airs. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, the camera
Yeah.
won, and I had to get him
Yeah.
out the way. And then
Yeah.
it was a fight. Some people got one sneaker, one person got another, and one person got a box. Like it was just one of those things where I think a kid bought one, a kid caught it, and then an
Mhm.
adult caught it, and they were telling the adult, "Hey man, get a kid." I said, "Bruh, boy, I
Right,
don't
right. You're
know,
supposed to
man."
get
Mm.
it's it's funny when I went to my first sneaker con here in the Philadelphia area, it's like I knew it would be big, but it was
Mhm,
like it's hardly any parking out, right? So crowded. And you got in there. Now, one of the things I just did not and shout out, hopefully this may get to some of the organizers, right?
mhm.
But like tell your vendors to have the ability to take cards, right? And it's
Yeah,
just like I don't feel, listen, I don't feel comfortable having $600 of cash as I'm walking
yeah,
into a place with that many folks, right? But it was just such the norm there. And
it is.
unfortunately, the gentleman who I brought from, he was like, "Oh, you have a card? You could." I said, "Listen, can you please just do it?" He said, "No, no, no, that's fine." And he charged me a service fee. I was fine with that.
Yeah.
But it was just like, you all are really walking around with cash, that much
Yes.
cash?
Yes.
And yeah, and that's scary. That's the ugly side to me of sneaker culture where becomes dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, whoa, no. I was like,
Yeah.
let me get
It's
out of here. Once I brought my bike here, I was like, let me get out of here. Cause
some
that
people
was a little,
got
yeah.
real pay. When I tell you, the first sneaker con I went to was probably 2015, and I thought it was a gathering for sneakerheads until I got there, and it became like
You
a
really,
marketplace, and I was like,
yeah.
"It's not what I signed up for." But I was watching little kids with their moms walking through, 12 years old. Like, how much is this? 800. All right, cool, moms. And mom would
Yeah.
just take out a bag of money and just like bricks on bricks. I was like, and they
It's
just got it.
dangerous. Yeah, but it's also just dangerous, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm like, I like this. So as soon as
yeah,
I brought my brick by, that's really what I came there for. I think I had the brick by bricks, and then I was trying to trade so Jordan 1 unions, and it just didn't work out because again, my size, right? It's
yeah.
not the most.
Mhm.
And so once I got those brick by bricks, I said, just hurry up,
I
walk
understand.
out.
I understand.
I'm like, nah, this is not. I will say it's still a beautiful showing, and I absolutely loved it. I think I know I'm going to really go again next
Mhm.
year. And so now I know the ropes a little bit, and I'll take a friend with me. So I figure like I
Yeah,
won't
you
be
got to.
alone. So
You
yeah,
got to.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let me ask
Yeah.
you. I know the answer to your question, but or
Okay.
to this question, but if you could design any sneaker, what sneaker would it be, and what designer would you have come and help you with the design, past or present?
Oh, that's a good one. You know what? I really would love, and I hate to be like this cliche, but
Mhm.
I really would love like Travis Scott to design a. Did he?
Ooh,
He never designed a Jordan 4, did he? He
yes,
hasn't
he did.
designed a Jordan 4.
Well, when we say design, I want to say colorway. Are you talking about colorway? Like the blue one with the red and the black bottom, the cactus jack. I want to say that was him.
That's a Jordan 4? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So yeah, with
but
it's like powder blue kinda. like a dark powder blue.
Oh, you know, I know what you're talking about. I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. I know what
I
you're
want
talking
to
about.
say that. I
Yes,
want
he
to say
did.
that's him.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, that is him. I'm sorry. You know, it was so far away. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
I
definitely.
understand.
So, but for him to come out with another one, so number
Okay.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then also, Virgil. I really wish,
That's what they get.
Virgil had so much
Yeah.
left to give.
Yeah.
So much left to give, and I think what I appreciate about Virgil more so than what I appreciate about Travis is that Virgil really truly, and I'm not saying that Travis doesn't, but more so, Virgil really truly had a fashion eye.
Hmm.
And so the way in which placement was done on sneakers, right? The words that he would have, like in certain areas, like it was such a beautiful, ode to fashion, right? And just even in like the inside of the shoe, and I'm thinking of my Converse, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely, just top tier. And
Yeah.
so I just really believe that Virgil had so much more to
Oh
give than
yeah.
Off White. And whether it's a, and I would say, for me, I, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
I
He
was
was
gonna
an
say bird. Let
engineer
me just
though.
leave it there.
I think he
Huh?
was. I want to say he was an engineer.
Mhm.
So
He
that
was an
was a
engineer.
lot of. He had great
So shoes look like
placement.
architects. Yeah,
Yes, he
yeah,
built.
yeah,
He built
yeah.
it. He
Look
built
like
them.
a yep,
He
he
built
built
them.
it. Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Absolutely, 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 absolutely. So I mean, so as you hear, Virgil, right, Travis Scott, I will tell you I'm now more so into the collabs because there is a story behind them.
Yeah.
And so there's some intentionality with that. And I think Nike and others, right, and other brands, where they do collabs, do a good job of the storytelling.
Hmm.
And so it compels you to want to buy the sneaker because you're part of the story. And so it's a great sales pitch, but it's
Yeah.
also, it really does draw me in as a consumer to say, I'm a part of this story. I have the bike airs, and to hear Nigel talk about, hey, the scuff marks that are on here was from the many scuff marks that I got on my shoes, right? And all that. I mean, how much did that mean, right? To anyone has seen struggle, right? But you had to really get back up again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's just the beauty, is this certainly the beauty of that. So yeah.
Speaking of collabs, how do you feel about J Tips and the sneakers?
Feels.
Those are the Sauconys. So he won
Ooh.
Sneaker of the Year, I want to say last year or the year before. But there was a beautiful Saucony that
Mhm.
he's done. He's done about 3 or 4 drops
Okay.
for Saucony. And he's I want to say he won Sneaker of the Year one year or something like that.
Okay.
But when you get a chance, take a look at him.
Yeah, I was gonna
He's
say
from the
because I don't
Bronx.
know much
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know much about them, but yeah, okay, I definitely will. I definitely will.
So I want to mention some sneakers, right? And you
Okay.
let me know which one you're choosing. Now, these are both of these sneakers in their primes. You let me know
Okay.
which one you're
In their
taking
primes.
in
Okay.
their primes. So, pennies or Jordans?
Jordans.
Okay. Bo Jacksons or Harachis?
Bo Jacksons.
Oh.
Bo Jacksons.
I figured you'd say such. Diamond Turfs or Griffies?
That's a hard one.
Yeah, it can be.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Can be.
Go with Griffey's.
Okay. It's something about that check in the front. I keep telling people, is that check in
Something
the
about the
front?
check in the front,
The
and
blue
I will
ones?
tell you, I used to play softball, so
Okay.
there is a love for when that era came out,
Yeah.
where you had baseball players who were producing sneakers.
Yes.
It just really, yeah, it was just beautiful. So I would think Griffey's, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeezys or Jordans?
So this is, can I just say this?
Yes, please.
I hate that Kanye West went off the radar and then went off the handles the way he did. When I tell you, Yeezys were some of the most comfortable sneakers ever to be invented, and just the brilliance of them, I'm like, come on, Kanye, right? Really? And so now, like, I have a sneaker guy who's here, and he's just like, yeah, I'm like selling Yeezys for like $50. I'm like,
Oh,
what?
oh, let's go. Let's go. When
Yeah.
can I sign up?
He's like $50 to get out, right? And so yeah, but no, Jordans for sure. I would choose Jordan anyway.
Yeah.
But I just hate that, Yeezy he just really screwed that up. But anyways, but
Yeah.
yes, I would choose Jordan.
Do you
Yeah.
feel for a moment. Do you feel that there was ever a point? I remember him saying this, but I don't know
Mhm.
if we believed what he was saying. Do you feel like there was ever a point where you felt Yeezy jumped over the Jumpmans at any point during sneaker culture?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think I will tell you, if Kanye West had remained with Nike, I think it would have.
Mm. Okay. That's fair.
I think I would have. That's the only Yeezy that people can't give away, right? Where that's what,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
that those not going for $50, right?
Yeah.
But those, but I do at a certain point, I do it. I do think it definitely surpassed Jordan culture.
Mhm.
I think where Jordan responded, and if I can get the years correct is when this is where around where Yeezy moves over to Adidas, right?
Mhm.
That's really when Nike truly upped their collaborations, right, with
Yeah.
folks. Truly upped it. So and doing it in a way that no, don't come and do your own shoe, right? Like
Mhm.
design. No, let's do a Jordan, but we're gonna make it Travis, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do a Converse and we're gonna make it Virgil, right?
Yeah.
And so it's taking a classic silhouette, but putting that little thing on it that's going to make people go crazy, right? And so
Yeah.
that's literally, I think, around the same time as
Mhm.
when Kanye went to Adidas and that was taken off. I think Nike was shook. They were like, "Oh crap, Adidas
Yeah.
cannot surpass us," right?
Yeah.
And that's really where they had to come back to the table and say, "We got to do this different
Yeah.
because it's not
Virgil was a
working."
great response. Virgil was a great
Yeah.
response to
Yeah, yeah, and it's so funny
that.
because they were such good friends, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hey, but yeah,
Yeah.
but no, Kanye West. I mean, we got to give it to him, right? I mean, the
Right.
Yeezys were certainly they were a time, and I think that they still would have been a time. I
Yeah.
really do. If he just did not, just the branding of it was just so off after he went off, right?
Yeah.
And so, it just shows people just about how important it is to keep a brand, and I think and how easy it is to fall off of that brand or to
Yeah.
fall from grace,
Yeah.
right? And so, luckily, we have not heard anything crazy come out about Jordan.
Yeah.
But I think if there was in 2025, if someone was to dig up something crazy and outlandish by him, I think Jordan would be in the same boat, right? And so, it's so important that the brand is upheld. And I just really hate that Kanye West just couldn't keep it together. I really do.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah.
I think Kanye, based on himself, he needed the spotlight to be who he was. Jordan, I
Mhm.
don't believe did. I think Jordan was okay. Based
No.
on Jordan's conversation and stuff, he was okay being the GOAT at the time he was there and
Hmm.
falling back and letting somebody else have the platform after that. Like he built that level of greatness for so many years that he is just getting residual income at this point. He doesn't have to play again to or be in the Gatorade commercial or do
Right.
any of that stuff. Like Ye has to muster up the
Yeah.
the media
Very different
momentum.
personality,
Oh
very
yeah.
different. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
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 They're both
Yeah.
competitive at their levels,
Yeah.
but Jordan competed at the level when it was his era, and then
Yeah.
he went off, and I think he's
Yeah.
okay with that. And his retros, I mean, but 1 to 20 is a strong case for any of them. So Ye got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no, no, no,
You know what I'm
absolutely,
saying? Like,
absolutely, absolutely. But I was just thinking, like, if indeed he wasn't
yeah.
that guy, I
Oh yeah.
really think Adidas. I do. I think it would Yeezys would have surpassed Jordan. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
But
of
yeah,
course, of course, of course.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, AJ ones or dunks?
Dunks.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You had
I'm
to think.
sorry.
You had to think.
I'm sorry. I like my sis, but dunks.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just not into the silhouette. That's all. Yeah,
Understood. Understood. Understood.
yeah.
Air Max 1 or Air Max 95s?
Air Max 95s.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That's nostalgic. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Okay.
Listen, we're going to go with it. Now, do you have a sneaker ritual when you get your grails, or when you got them,
Mhm.
you just good? Do you have a particular ritual that every time you get a grail, you like, I got to do this with my sneaker?
No, I get it and I'm good. I stare at it for a long time.
Okay, me too.
I have it in a very temperature controlled room. And so I'm very careful to not have my sneakers in rooms that get very hot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's not good for the material or the sole. And so I do that. Yeah, and then for me, and you follow me on Instagram, you've seen some of my unboxing videos. So I do
Mhm.
some. I have to get, sometimes it's time consuming.
I understand. Yeah.
And so
You got to edit them things.
yeah. So I have to I have to do a little bit more of that with some of the kicks that I have.
Mhm.
But yeah, but that's like a thing. Like I take them out, especially if I get them in the mail. So I will tell you it's two different rituals, right? And so for, sneakers that are very much exclusive, right? I'm probably ordering them either from a resale site or, something. So they're coming in the mail, right? Or I might have hit right online. So they're coming in the mail. And so the first thing that I do is actually take them out the box,
Yeah.
and I look at them because I've actually been burned before by Nike with that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought I had a shoe and then I didn't. And I
Mm.
was very, very upset with that. And so it's my ritual. And also, I will tell you, I've been burned like that with a resale as well,
Mhm.
where I thought something, was my size, and it was actually like a size and a half bigger. I'm like, what?
Uh,
And
uh,
and a lot of these resale sites, they don't like to give you a refund and all
yeah.
that, and then it's just a pain to return. And then, even if you
Yeah.
return it, you're not getting it for the same price as what it was a week ago because,
Hmm.
the prices fluctuate.
Yeah.
So it's just really just a pain. So I really do take care to make sure that I open them up. I make sure that it's the sneaker that I want. I examine them,
Yeah.
even when they come from directly from the actual retailer.
Hmm.
I actually examine that as well. So that's more so my ritual. And again, having them in the heat, or temperature controlled room.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair
Yeah.
because we pay too much money, especially with the Nikes. I don't really see Adidas doing too much in different temperatures, but those Nikes, something about them soles.
Something about those
Start
soles,
bugging.
and so you can't have them. Yeah, you can't have them in hot rooms and things like that. You
Yeah,
have to be able to have them in a temperature controlled room. So yeah.
got you. So four more questions, right?
Sure.
Um, what's the most comfortable sneaker you've ever owned?
Man, see, this is what I was getting ready to say is that daggone big mouth Kanye West, that
Easy.
Yeezys, semi
The
frozens. You hear
Boost.
me?
The Boost?
Oh, no, the
350s?
semi
350s?
frozens. They're three
What's that?
fifties. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 350s. The semi frozen. The like the green pair. It's like the
Okay. Yes,
green
yes,
pair
yes, yes, yes,
semi
yes, yes.
frozens. Yeah, and
Yes.
so yeah. But I'm like, those are. I mean, when I tell you absolutely comfortable, absolutely comfortable.
I love those. I love that
And so
colorway
don't
too.
wear them anymore. But yeah, absolutely comfortable. Jordan ones, although I love them, they're not the most comfortable.
Okay.
Now fours, I will tell you, fours they have a little bit more cushion, and so they are pretty comfortable. And so I do like to wear them as well. But I would say, most comfortable has to be easiest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, um, biggest sneaker L of all time. This is a sneaker that you wanted, but you were never able to get.
Man, the off-white Jordan ones, the baby blue ones, the ones that
Mm,
are like $2,000 resale. I
yeah.
just can't bring myself
Piece
to
of
pay
art.
that for it. I just can't bring myself to pay that because I would actually wear the sneaker.
Hmm.
And you know what the problem is? Let me tell you something. You know what the shame part about it is?
Hmm.
I'm a person who has Christian Louboutin shoes. I have Louis Vuitton shoes. I have shoes that cost that much, but they're not a
Sneakers.
sneaker, right? I'm not
Understood.
used to
Yeah.
paying that for a sneaker. So
Yeah.
it's something that's still on a wish list. And what I'm hoping is that some benefactor in my life would say, hey,
That's it.
let me take you to the sneaker store, get you whatever you want. That's what
Yeah.
I'm getting.
Budget. No
There you
budget.
go. There you go.
Oh,
No budget. Yes, that's what
I
I'm
love
getting.
it.
That's what I'm gonna take. I'll go take you to Flight Club, and then I will get those sneakers. That's what I hope. That's what I hope
I
to
love it. I
have.
love it. I love it,
Yeah.
man. So if you had a Mount Rushmore, your top four sneakers all time, what would be on your Mount Rushmore?
Woo! Top sneakers of all time.
For you, based on what you like. Whether you had them or
Oh,
didn't.
whether I had them or didn't.
Yep.
Mm. All right. I don't want to be too cliche, but it's okay. This is my Mount
That's
Rushmore,
it. You're
right?
Mount Rushmore. It's all
All
about
right.
you.
So, one, the Brick by Bricks,
Okay.
Jordan 4s. Two, the Dior ones.
Ooh.
Actually, oddly enough, I like the Dior ones lows more than I like the highs. I don't know what it is about the lows that are just
Hmm.
really, really great. Um, Travis Scott's Jordan 1 mochas.
Okay. Okay.
And what's my last? What is my last? Huh, that's a good one. Cause four, right? It's four. Mount Rushmore is four people. Okay. Uh, did I do the Concord 11s? Did I say those?
Nope.
I didn't say
I was waiting for
Concord.
him. I was waiting for
Concord
him.
11s. There you go. I meant to say those actually first, and then I got into the Brick by Bricks, but Concord 11s. So all Jordans. I'm sorry, I'm that person. I love Jordans.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just
I
think
just want
Jordans are the
to.
top of the top.
Oh yeah,
Everything
for
else comes
sure.
down, but they're just the top of the top.
For
It's
sure.
my
For
yeah.
sure. For sure. That's a good list right there. Now I need a pair, which is a sneaker, the biggest sneaker flop. This is a sneaker everybody loved, but you could not stand them.
Ooh, that's a good question. Hmm, that is a really good question. I'm trying to think. And maybe they're not a sneaker, but I will tell you those Yeezy slides were horrific. I
Which
mean, they're
slides?
horrific. I think that was the beginning of the end.
Oh
When I
snap!
saw those, but a lot of people loved them, right? And I'm like, these
Yeah,
things are horrible.
yeah.
And so not necessarily a sneaker, but people love. And then I will also say this, and I hate to be this rude too.
Nah, please let me
The
hear it.
pandas, the pandas,
Oh, you're not
those
the first one to say
those
that.
the pandas, man. Although I had this white and black sweater on,
The
the
OGs.
pandas. And let me tell you what was so crazy. I think because of the hype, I kind of was a hyper beast and I actually brought them. And then I wore them like one time. I'm like, why am I wearing these? These things
Yeah,
are so overrated. Like, go
yeah,
somewhere. So yeah.
yeah. They redid the pandas though. They have like a bunch of different pandas now, different colors.
Mm, okay.
Some of these pandas look pretty pandy. Like I would rock these pandas, but that first one I couldn't. That black and white, I was like, and I like loud sneakers to some degree. Like I like a
Yeah.
sneaker that
Yeah.
stands out some degree, and I also like the control of the pandas, black and white.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just wouldn't buy them. I'm like, mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I just yeah, I didn't lean into them
Yeah,
as much, but they were just, I kind of the hyper beast. Everybody had them, the kids had them. I was like, okay, all right,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
yeah. I
nah,
understand.
it's
Yeah,
a no go. It's a no
understood,
go.
understood, understood. Last question. I need a pair of sneakers that you had and you discarded of because you either your foot grew or you had to get rid of them for some reason, but you want them back now.
Oh, so my foot grew. So to your point, I give away sneakers to children, and because my foot grew, I had to give away my Jordan 11 breads, and I was so upset.
Oh.
I want it back. I want to
Understand.
stuff my feet right in them. I want them back. And I gave them to the young lady. And I said, "Ooh," this is what I literally said to her. I said, "Ooh, you know that I love you because these are amazing too."
Yep.
And her mother has since told me that they were out somewhere, I think in the Apple store, and like some party was like, "Oh my gosh, you got on the brands? What?" Like was really hyping her up, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's a great shoe. It's a
Yeah.
great shoe, and they pretty much looked new when I gave them to her. But yeah,
Wow.
Jordan 11 breads. It's a beautiful shoe. So yeah.
See, when I give a sneaker away, I need you to appreciate it like me. If I see you like running up the block with them and just like scuffing them up, I'm like, yo, give it back. I don't want no.
Give them back. Even
Give
if
them
I
back.
can't wear them, give
Yeah,
them
you're not. I'm about to give
back.
you art, and you put them in the corner somewhere. Like we're not doing that, fam. We not.
Yeah, we're not
We
doing
not.
that. We're not doing that at all.
No. Listen, man. Look, I super appreciate your time. Thank you for
I
being here,
appreciate
rocking out
you.
with us. If anybody wanted to follow you and some of the things that you're doing, where could they follow you at?
Yeah, so my work email professional handle for Instagram is MWUL underscore Prez. And so that's Instagram. And then for my personal handle is gentrified. So JENNTRIFIED. And so that's on Instagram. So follow me for fashion and all things sneakerhead stuff. Follow me at gentrified. For Urban League things and social justice things, please follow me at MWUL underscore Prez. So, yeah,
Appreciate your time. Appreciate your willingness to come up here.
appreciate
It's been
you.
super, super fun. Listen, thank y'all for rocking out with us. It's the Kick La Familia podcast with your favorite primo, Coach Fernz, the fashionista herself, Jenn, and we out.
Yeah.